Hello and welcome to this track guide for round 5 of the Nations Cup. We're here at Suzuka and we are in the Red Bull anniversary cars. We're just looking at the 10th fastest lap, which is about a 1:32.2, which is about 600 slower than the fastest lap. In this race we've got 4 times on the tyre wear and 1 time on the fuel, so I don't think the fuel will be an issue, but we do have racing hards, mediums and softs as required tyre types. So it looks like we're going to have to do at least 2 stops in this race, and thinking about which tyre to start on is going to be part of the strategy. We've got 9 corners in this race, and some of those are particularly tricky, especially 1 and 8. And there are a few others in the middle here, which I've put a little bit more detail into this track guide, so hopefully it's useful for you. If you did catch the previous track guide video, thank you for watching it. I hope it helped your race times, and if it did, then please think about liking and subscribing. Let's get into this track guide. So as we're going down the main straight here into the first corner, we want to be braking about 3 or 4 car lengths after this curb starts. And as you can see, we've got the fence here where it ends. That's also another braking point that you can use. As we're going into this, we want to be using 100% of the brakes and then trailing off a little bit. We do want to use the outside curb, so you want to open up a little bit to that outside curb and then be at about 60–50%, and then drop off as that inside curb starts. Clip the end of it in 3rd or 4th gear and then accelerate out and clip that left-hand curb. So we want to be braking at the end of the fence, keeping it tight to the inside, open up to the outside curb, clip the end of the inside curb, and then use the outside curb on exit. And we're looking at about 83 miles an hour for the slowest speed on this corner. Now going into the next one, this is the S's, and you could lose a lot of time here, so this has to be, you have to be quite careful with how you take this one. As you can see, we're opening up to the right hand side of the track, so we do want to get over there and start lifting before we start turning in. You do want to graze the curb, the first curb, about 130 miles an hour, and you want to be putting on some more brakes here in the middle between the 2 curbs that you can see here. About 40–50% of brakes between the curbs. You want to exit in 3rd gear, clipping at the end of the curb, and then aim for the middle of the road to set up for the next turn. So now we're setting up into turn 3. You want to be in the middle of the track and then just start lifting off as you head towards this curb. You do want to be getting over the curb, and you start accelerating as the green appears or the Astra appears on that curb. And then a few car lengths later, we need to be lifting off again and starting our braking for the long right-hander. So we've got the marshals there on the right-hand side, and we want to be braking till about halfway round that corner. So we're braking just before the inside curb where those marshals are. We want to keep it tight to the inside, about 40–50% of the car over the curb. And we open up when the nose points towards the outside curb, and we're about 90–95 miles an hour as we're going around there. Now up into turn 4, we just want to be getting 4th to 5th gear, and as you change over the curb, you want to be lifting a little bit. So you want to be about 60–70% on the accelerator over the curb and at about 135–138 miles an hour. So now into turns 5 and 6, this is a very high speed corner and pretty difficult. We want to be lifting off in 6th gear as we come into this one. We want to be turning just at the 50-meter board, and we want to be changing gear from 6th to 5th as we cut the corner, and a dab of brakes just after that to keep it on track. We also want to be going 163–167 miles an hour as we're cutting the corner there. And then literally about 2 car lengths later, we want to be braking again. As you can see, we've got the marker on the right hand side, but you can't really see that, so there is the hill in front of you as well where it's tapering off, and I just scroll through the different views here. So we want to brake as the hill tapers down or the tyre wall ends, 100% of brakes, and trail off before cutting the corner. We want to cut the corner about 80% and use the curb on the exit. We want to be going about 79–81 miles an hour as we go over that one. Now I actually think the hairpin here is relatively straightforward. As we're coming up to it, we want to be braking just at the end of this curb, and there's also the lamppost here. So just as the car's passing the lamppost, we want to be getting the brakes on. We want 100%, and then we want to be tapering off just as this left-hand curb starts, or about three boards in on that Nissan board on the right-hand side. want to be hitting about 40 miles an hour in first gear and then exiting in second and third. So we're braking at the lamppost before the end of the curb. We want 100% brakes and trail off just after the inside curb starts. We don't want to be cutting this one, and then we're second before the inside curb ends, third as you reach the outside curb. So as you're crossing the road and accelerating, you want to be getting into third gear. We're about 40 miles an hour as we hit the apex on this one. Now, the next one is one of the trickiest corners on the track. You really don't want to be going too wide on this one, because if you get your right hand tyres over, you will slide off. We just want to be braking as we hit this tarmac on the right hand side of the road, just before the 50-metre board. We're probably at about 75 metres here as we're braking. We only want to be putting on about 50% of the brakes, or feathering it, from 70 to 50%. And then as we hit the end of the gravel pit on the right hand side, just as it's going out of view, we want to be putting on the brakes again, about the same as well, about 50% of the brakes as we turn into the left-hander. So we want to be braking at the tarmac before the 50-metre board, feathering the brakes 50 to 70%, 118 miles an hour before accelerating to the outside curb. Brake again just before the gravel pit ends, about 50 to 60% of your braking power. You want to coast to the apex on the left-hand side and then dab on the accelerator in third, and then full acceleration on fourth after the curb ends. In this corner, you'll be slowing to about 83 to 85 miles an hour at the slowest point. Now, as we're coming up to the 130R corner, there's not really much we have to do here. These cars have high downforce, so they do stick to the road quite well. Maybe as the tyres wear, it will become an issue, but you can just floor it through here. Now, as we're coming up to the chicane just before the end of the track, you'll see this yellow strip on the right-hand side. You can use that as a braking point. We're probably braking at about 120 to 125 metres on this one as we go into the chicane. We want to be putting on 100% brakes, and then as you can see, this little blue and white curb on the right-hand side, that's where we want to be trailing off and getting into our turn. And we want to cut these corners. As you go over the first one, you want to go into first to second gear, and then the second one, second to third. So we're braking at the start of that yellow line, about 100 and 125 metres. We want 100% of your brake power as you go over that. We want to trail off once we see that blue curb on the right-hand side, and then we want to be cutting these corners pretty much entirely. First and second over the first cut, and then second to third over the second. Slowing to about 57 miles an hour at the first one, and then just sort of feathering your acceleration as you get out over the second curb. And then you want to use the curb on the exit in about third gear, just to watch out, because this area is quite slippy on the track, so it can be quite risky. I'm just going to put up an image here that you can take a screenshot of, and you can put that on your phone or tablet or your laptop, however you're sort of racing next to your screen, and it can be a little reference as you're going around, so that you can have this outlaid for you quite easily. Now, this is my lap we're going into here, and I felt like I did pretty well to get I think I ended up with a 134. That's only about 2.5-3 seconds off of the faster times, so I'm quite pleased with that. There's definitely some areas where I can make improvements, as always, but being a B-rated driver, that's always going to be the case. If you do get use out of these videos and you like them, then please like and subscribe. I'm going to be doing track guides for round 6 when that comes around. Let me know if you want to see track guides for the daily races. Once the Nations Cup is out of the way, then I'll be looking at doing other videos. If you have any suggestions for me or anything you'd like to see in the sort of Gran Turismo racing, then let me know. Check out my channel and have a look at some of my other videos. I do have some races from the Nations Cup, and I will be looking to do some more videos in the future. Thanks for watching, and good luck in the Nations Cup race.